Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Shane Cantfield, the Chief Executive Officer at WAEPA. Shane, always good to have you in.
Great to see you again.
And this is open season. It's primarily about health insurance plans, not your business. However, the business you are in relates to the bigger issue of people thinking about their financial lives generally when they're thinking about healthcare insurance plans, and WAEPA does have a big role there. Tell us why you get so much business for the WAEPA properties, and we'll go into what it is you do offer, but this is a time of year that's busy for you also, open season.
Yes, it is. This is our busiest time, the last couple of months of the year, every year. And I think it's just people are thinking about finances in general, and we encourage that. You should do this on a regular basis, but similar to changing your batteries and your smoke detectors when the time changes, we think of open season that way. So it's a good time to reassess how much you need for life insurance, as well as what's the goal? You know, what are you trying to do with it? Has your life situation changed? As people get older, they might have their mortgage paid off. Their kids have left, and maybe the college loans, if you were paying for your kids' college loans, maybe that's paid off. Other debts are paid off. So your need might decrease, or if you're younger, it might increase. So it's a good time to reassess how much do I need, and I'd say over 50% of our business is done in those 2 months for that very reason, that annual assessment.
And since you are an expert in the whole life insurance business, I've been thinking about that personally myself, by the way. And if you look back over the decades, the life insurance business itself has changed a lot. The types of products offered. Give us a little rundown on how things are now, say, relative to 50 years ago or even 25 years ago.
Our principal product is a pooled risk term life insurance that's exclusive to federal employees. So you have to be a federal employee, and people attest to it. Yes, I'm a member of the government, and that allows them access to the organization. Without going too much into detail, we're a nonprofit association, a little bit like a union, but we don't collectively bargain. But you have to be a member of the association to get access to the insurance. Now, all that's very seamless and doesn't cost money or anything. So it's a small hurdle to get past. But once you get in, we have 46,000 people in a single plan, a single risk pool. So that's, you know, without being an actuary, you can imagine that spreads the risk over a lot more people. It gives us economies of scale, so our rates tend to be lower. Federal employees are good risks, so our rates are very strong. And it's a very different animal than whole life insurance. Whole life is
there still such a thing as whole life?
Yeah, and it's dramatically more expensive, but it's expensive because there's a cash value component to it. So you're accumulating a savings account along with the insurance. There are also guaranteed returns in most whole life policies. So it has a real role for people who are thinking more broadly in how can this tax-deferred savings account attached to my life insurance, you're getting both at once, how can that fit into my overall financial plan? Most people don't view life insurance that way. They look at the current need, and they're looking to spend as little as possible to cover current risk. And that's term life insurance.
Right, so they have the flexibility of adjusting it quickly, depending, as you say, on the life cycle they're in, right, and the needs they have at that moment or that period in their life.
Right. And people do frequently, as they get older, with term life insurance, you're covering the risk at that time, which means younger people are paying less than older people, and then your needs go down as the premiums are going up. So you don't have to drop it altogether. A lot of people just simply reduce the coverage they have because their need has changed and the amount of cash out they are willing to spend decreases as well. So it's not an all or nothing proposition with term life insurance.
And another component of the WAEPA offerings is the short-term disability insurance, and maybe give us the rundown on how that works.
Right. So the short-term disability insurance program is a year old now, and it's popular, but the federal benefit plan, people can accumulate and use their sick time. So there's not quite the same need for it as a non-federal employee. But when somebody's younger and hasn't accumulated all that paid time off that they can use to offset a disability, that's a good time to look at it. And it's short term, it's designed for a limited period of time. The premium is not much. And what we're finding is in our plan, the average age of new enrollees it's going down, which is good. This is actuarially, it's good for the future because younger people, they personally are saving money longer, but it also increases the length of time they're in the plan, and that provides additional rate stability. What we're finding is they're buying it at the same time because it's really not that expensive. Mm-hmm. So we have that capacity, and it makes sense for younger people to get into both of these plans early.
And getting back to the main idea of the term life insurance, just to be clear, you can keep that going even after you retire as a federal employee? Yeah,
that's unique to the kind of program we offer. We just put together something brand new. We soft launched this a month ago, and we're going to roll it out in a bigger way next year. And that is, we've opened the plan to all former federal employees too. People that have been members of the federal government. If they didn't, as the way it's set up right now, if you don't get into this plan while you're actively employed, then you can't get into it. Well, what we're doing is our version of veterans. You served your country, civilian federal employees serve their country. So we're recognizing that and allowing them in the program too. So if you leave federal service for any reason, you can still apply for it.
And how long do you have to have been a federal employee? Can you be a short term, say a few years, and still be eligible?
There is no limit on that. You could be a federal employee for a month.
There's some pretty significant differences in terms of benefits and costs too between you and FEGLI.
Right. Our rates are less across the board, except at the very oldest age brackets, where we don't have a lot of activity there anyway, where we're even. But for the vast majority of age brackets, we're at least 10% less expensive. We do offer more coverage. You can get up to $1.5 million of coverage. In FEGLI, you can do up to 5 times your income. What we tried to do there was provide enough coverage for that people didn't have to go to multiple sources. Because we live here in the DC metro area. If you've got a 2-earner household, you've got a mortgage, you've got a couple of kids at home, maybe you want to plan for their paying for their college, you get to $1 million in a heartbeat. And so we wanted to make sure we had available enough that people didn't have to piece together life insurance with FEGLI and 2 or 3 other sources to get the amount of coverage they need.
And this savings and this consolidation is really important because it's so inflationary now. Federal employees got, 2.7% this past year as a raise, and who knew inflation ran double digits.
Yeah. Our rates, fortunately, aren't really tied to inflation. They're tied to the mortality risk over time. So while you're seeing prices increase broadly across the U.S. economy, life insurance, at least ours, doesn't track with that. So we expect no rate increases over the coming years.
All right. And, well, again, getting back to the larger picture of open season, what message do you have for feds thinking about their financial lives and insurance being a huge part of your financial planning?
Just that. The FEHB analysis, hopefully people go through this. It's really important as plans change, as rates change, as networks change. It's really important that people look at that annually. And I think the data shows that not as many people do that as we would like, but you should, because you could really get to a better plan, perhaps even for less money. While you're doing that, think of your overall financial plan, and life insurance is part of that.
Right, yeah, that's really a big issue that comes up every year is people's inertia to change a plan. They just look at the dollars, well, it's going to be the same, but there really are opportunities for savings, big time, right?
Right, right. And you can also save on your federal life insurance program with WAEPA, and that's very easy to check. We have comparisons calculators on our website that are super easy. You just put in your age and how much you want, and it will show you the FEGLI rate and the WAEPA rate. Our rates are public, FEGLI's rates are public, so it's not a mystery. We don't have special pricing for male or female. We don't have special pricing for various health conditions. You know, in the private life insurance market, you have preferred and standard and substandard and ultra preferred, all kinds of ways that vary the premium. So if you look at their website, you can't really tell what you're going to pay until you go through the application process. With us, we don't do that.
And earlier you said that a whole lot of business comes to WAEPA because of open season, and people are thinking about this, but open season doesn't apply. You can get into WAEPA anytime you so choose.
That's right, anytime. So it's just more of a memory trigger. But yes, absolutely, anytime during the year you can apply for WAEPA. And we do underwrite, so there's some of that. Our underwriting standards are based on the group, and like I said, federal employees are really solid risk. So the underwriting standards are relatively easy. We approve over 80% of people that apply. That's a huge number in the non-employer life insurance space. And one other quick thing that we just instituted a few weeks ago is online. The whole process is online now for the majority of people who apply, meaning you can get a decision right then, 20, 30 minutes as you go through the application. At the end of that, it's a decision, yes or no. Occasionally it says we're going to refer it to an underwriter, but in a 2-week period of time, our first 2 weeks, we had 275 people apply. We approved 175 of them online at that session, which is, the reason I'm saying that, Tom, is normally it's a 3-week process to go through the traditional medical components, you know, blood draws and all those things nobody really wants to do. We use other means to achieve the same result, and people are thrilled about this. And who wouldn't be? You know, 30 minutes, versus 3 weeks.
And that is Shane Canfield. He is the Chief Executive Officer of WAEPA. You're listening to Federal News Network. Let's go back to the studio now for more on Open Season Exchange.